Bam! Okay, here we go. Get rid of the face mask. We have had, it gives me goosebumps to even think about it, people. We have had our local hospital here at the MHAB Conference Center, which is right on the other side of that wall, twice in the last 6 weeks. And they have given both first and second COVID vaccines to about 40 of our residents, employees, and people who are working, contract people who are working down here. And you know, it is just so cool to be punching back against this thing. I love it. So I'm comfortable. I'm more comfortable than I have been without a mask here, which is very cool. We're cooking today, though. We're having a lot of fun. We've been harvesting things from the greenhouse. We've been playing around with new things. We've been providing some catering for some people who are in the healthcare business here, fighting this pandemic. And you know, I think all in all, everybody's feeling pretty good about the way things are going here. So what are we going to do today? We are going to do, who can guess? Jess, can you guess? Kelly? Quiche. We're going to make quiche Lorraine. Quiche Lorraine because it's the most common. Quiche because it's one of the great foods on the planet. It is so simple. It is a marvelous way to use up leftovers. You can make it fancy. You can make it not fancy. You can serve it with ferns and brass railings around your little table, or you can serve it room temperature, cold, hot. You can take it on a picnic and not have to worry about heating it up. It's a dynamite dish. One of my favorite things on the planet. It's basically an egg pie. So, can we see this? I got 16 eggs. I've got a quart of half and half. That's the only thing you really need, not the only, that's really the most important thing you need to remember about quiche, is the ratio of eggs to dairy. It's 4 eggs to a cup of dairy. So we're gonna make little quiches today because we're gonna actually take them out and sell them in the store as a dinner on the fly option today. But if I use a quart of cream, I use half and half in this case, I don't have to worry about measuring anything. So I just do that ratio, 1 cup to 4 eggs, so I get 16 eggs to a quart of cream. First thing I'm going to do is, quiche Lorraine is bacon or ham, usually bacon, and onions, some herbs, and Swiss cheese. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a big blob of butter and I'm going to put it in the skillet that I've got warming on the stove, and we're going to brown up these onions that I've minced up before we got the camera rolling. So while that's getting started, I'm going to chop up some of the herbs, and we're going to cut bacon and cut the cheese that's going to go. I've got some chives and parsley, and I'm going to use some dried herbs as well. Not everything is growing and producing at the same rate in the greenhouse, so that what I've got today fresh are chives and parsley. So I'm going to fold the chives in half. Just makes it. I cut it twice as many with one stroke of the knife. So I'm going to cut those up nice and small, nice and fine. Little pile of chives, some parsley. And as soon as I do this, I'm going to look over my shoulder at the skillet there on the stove and see if my butter is melted. And it is not quite ready, so I'll take some of this time while that's still going and cube up the cheese. You like to have cheese not too big. You can shred cheese. I like chunks of cheese in something like this, particularly if you're eating it at room temperature or cold. I like having a bit of cheese as opposed to just sort of cheese all the way through. As I said, we're using Swiss. This would be made traditionally with any kind of French holy Swiss type cheese. Alsace Lorraine is kind of a semi-mountainous area around the borders where Germany and France and Italy come together. Pardon me, in Switzerland, not Italy. So it's the cheese from that region in general. Quiche Lorraine is from Lorraine. So you see I'm getting about a half-inch cube out of timer's going off because we got something in the oven done at the other end. I love the fact that while we're filming these episodes, we are in fact a working kitchen and there's lots going on at the same time. We're right at the change of seasons here. We're in what we call here false spring, which means it feels like spring, but we know winter's right around the corner. And this is a nice hearty meal that goes well with that weather. I'm going to come back and finish this in just a second because my butter looks like it's about ready. So you see I put, I don't know, cup and a half, 2 cups of minced onions in melted butter, and I'm going to brown those so they caramelize a little bit, which gives them, you know, a little color, a little richer flavor, and a little more sweetness. And then we will put the solids, the cheese and the bacon, in the prepared pie dishes. I'm not ashamed of it. I love shortcuts, and I'm not very good with pie crust personally. I do okay, but it's a lot of work. We're using frozen pie crusts today. So you put a good handful of cubes of cheese in each. And now we're going to just break up the bacon. We did this morning earlier when we came in. We do our bacon typically in the oven because we do lots of it. If I were doing this just for this half a dozen small quiches, or 8 small quiches, something like that, I would do it probably on the stovetop in a skillet. But we're using bacon and a couple other things we're preparing today for the lunch at the store. So we went ahead and cooked, I don't know, 2 or 3 pounds, and we put it on parchment in a sheet pan and put it in the oven. Goes very smoothly. So, but it's sort of medium crispy. You don't want to have a whole lot of fat escaping as it cooks. So you want to have cooked a lot of that fat away, but you also don't want it so crispy that it gets crunchy and hard in the quiche. So there's about, what is that? That must be a cup and a half for 6 of these little 5-inch quiches. And we'll just distribute that evenly. A couple of those are a little light, so we'll go back to the well. And just doctor that around so that there is about the same amount of bacon in each. So you got lots of dairy. You got onions, you got flour, got a little fat. We all need fat in our diet, not as much as I can do sometimes, but it's a pretty balanced meal. Now we're going to make our batter, what's the ratio? 4 eggs to 1 cup of dairy. So I've got a quart, which is 32 ounces, 8 ounces to a cup, makes 4 cups and a quart. So I'm going to crack 16 eggs into my mixing bowl. Quiche batter can be made ahead. You wouldn't want to store it for weeks. Contrary to popular belief, it actually does freeze pretty well. Speaking of freezing, that's another great advantage of quiche as a convenient meal. You can freeze it. You can wrap it tightly in plastic and freeze it for months. It is really a superior way to add convenience to your diet, use up leftovers, get good solid nutrition. Get a little errant eggshell out of there, out of the liquid chickens. There's some celebrity chef, I don't know who it is. Is it the Diners, Drive-In and Dives guy? I think it is. Guy Fieri, who refers to chicken or eggs. He's not a big egg fan. He refers to them as liquid chickens. So I've got 16 eggs, 4 cups of dairy, and I'm just going to whip that together and then we're going to season it, and we are good to go. Now, if you're wondering, this is a standard batter. You can put anything in this. You can put cheddar and broccoli. You can put shrimp and tofu. You can put, in this case, this classic, we're going to put bacon, cheese, and onion. You can put anything in a pie shell in this batter, and it will taste good. I'm going to put in a few marjoram leaves, little dried marjoram, and garlic's out of season here, so I'm going to use a little granulated garlic, little salt and pepper. Running for that salt and pepper gave me a chance to stir my onions one more time on the way by. Same with salt like this, because if I oversalt this, it's ruined. So I'm not going to put very much in there. That's probably about a half a teaspoon is what I'm aiming for. But by shaking it into my hand, I don't have to worry about overfilling my my batter. So you can see that there are a few streaks of yolk still in there, but it's mostly fully beaten through. And I'm going to add the fresh chopped herbs that we just did, the parsley and the chives from the greenhouse. So there is a nice rich egg batter, with which we're going to fill these pie plates. See how they're starting to turn a little brown. They've got a little caramelization taking place, which will intensify the flavor, sweeten them a little bit. Just, a tablespoon or two in each one of these 6 mini pie pans, already loaded with chunks, cubes of Swiss cheese, and semi-crispy bacon. Man. So now we're going to fill these pie crusts right up to the top. I'm just going to pour into these, and this is as simple as it gets. So we're going to go into about a 325 oven. So we've given these little mini quiches about 25 minutes in the oven. You can see they've puffed up nicely. They will settle back down as they cool. Now if you take a look at these guys and you give them a little jiggle, see how there's just a little bit of movement in the center, which means the egg has cooked and it's set. These are perfect. My gracious, they're gorgeous. All right, so we're going to give this a try. We are too hungry. Probably should have let this cool a little longer, but we're going to jump right in. And as I say, this is a dish that is great because you can eat it hot out of the oven, so hot it burns the roof of your mouth like a pizza, or you can serve it room temperature or even cold. That'll do, pig. That'll do.